Paul, thanks for joining us today. Formerly a shareholder and group director of Knights of Old. Obviously a well-publicised breach incident that happened there, which ultimately cost the business kind of from moving forwards. It'd be great to first of all just get some introduction from you on the business, what it did, who you were, who worked within it. That'd be a great starting point.
Yeah, my name's Paul Abbott, and I was in Knights of Old Group, became KNP Logistics Group also, was the group name. I've been involved in the business since 1987. It was a well-known UK European logistics transportation company specialising in road transport, air freight, sea freight, logistics services. We grew the business over time. Did a management buyout in 2012 when I became part owner. And at that point, it was around about the 15 million size business. And we grew it to about 100 million overall, 900 people. Obviously very serious about what we did, got really good systems in place and sort of address health and safety and all the risk areas of business. We like to think that we put those at the forefront of our focus, making sure that the business is a really good place, for the people and the welfare of everybody involved, and in particular the business itself. We were spending 100,000 a year in framework into their security. So we took all these things very seriously.
And was that through internal strategic review or through third-party assistance with it in terms of how you were taking that knowledge base?
Yeah, it was a bit of both really. So we've got an internal team, we've got quite a lot of bespoke sort of software that we needed to sort of manage ourselves internally, but we did have third parties that supported it. And being ISO 27001 registered and re-accredited recently, back in 2023, at the time, we had to have a third party partner that worked with us, that also provided us with licensing mechanisms and systems and support generally.
Okay.
And we put a lot of trust in.
And did your supply chain, both clients and people feeding into you, did they have much requirement in regards to what you were doing that forward as well?
Yeah, and I mean, that's why we sort of entered into the ISO 27001 accreditation. We felt it was a healthy thing to have internally, but also a very good accreditation and recognition to have for our clients.
Yeah,
that gave them comfort and assurance that we were, we took data protection security.
Yeah. So in summary,
seriously,
you therefore were treating it as an investment in the business and not a cost to it. You saw that as being part of your kind of actual role, was making sure that was secure.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, that again, like the other sort of compliance factors that you have to have as a business, health and safety, invest in it properly and it protects your people so they can come to work the next day. Also it keeps you out of prison. That's the thing, for corporate life, we don't want that. But also we want to make sure people come to work safe and go home safe. So that was that. And it's the same really with data security. We banked a lot of data on premises and cloud. And obviously the rules and GDPR became quite intense over time. And we felt that having a good framework and a platform, a discipline within the business was a healthy thing to have. The ISO 27001 was one of those that we had, along with many other ISO accreditations. They were good frameworks and disciplines to have.
Okay. So what happened in 2023 to what was the first parts of how you noticed that the breach attack had happened? What did you start to see?
Okay. So business as usual. I'd been out with a client at a supplier event on the Tuesday evening of the 13th of June 2023. During the night, on the morning handover, that the operational leads got a site off from the night shift, reported that there'd been some disruption on systems, minimal access to systems, only really cloud-based, so it looked like the on-premises servers that supported the transport management system, warehouse systems, have got a problem. Caused disruption. We couldn't get access to them. The internal IT support crew that we got a lot of trust and a lot of ability, confidence with them. They were working on it in the night, and it looked like we'd probably got a failed disk or something like that, without being too technical. Nothing really alarming that hadn't happened before. that they hadn't been able to deal with and sort of to glass and recover from. But it sort of went into the following day, and at which point we had to invoke the sort of operational contingency to keep things moving.
Okay. So it was being monitored by an entire team. It was being monitored by some softwares as well that were in place for that. You've done all the right things up to the point. You've flagged the point where it got to. And by the sounds of it, you had a recovery kind of plan method in place. Deal was next. So what did that you think?
I mean, we had a DR plan. Most of our customers at blue chip, they expect you to have these, and in a town, have you got a robust DR plan? Yeah, is that thick? And in reality, you have to ask yourself, is that really work, or does it do everything? There were elements, significant elements, key front-end operational stuff that had been tested that we knew worked, probably by default, if I'm being fair, where you got power outage or a system disruption. We had a system where we could continue to take orders, we could keep trucks moving, we could keep freight moving. Normally, that was a few hours, worst case, probably 6 or 7 hours. And we would be able to recover from that because we'd have access to the other back office systems that could catch up over a week or so. So the important thing for us, we always tell that as long as we keep freight moving, customer serviced, and everything operated, we should be okay.
Okay.
So that.
So what were the
That worked well, yeah.
What were the initial kickoffs of that disaster recovery plan? What's the first things that you invoke?
Well, it's a very manual system. We've got a cupboard with some clean laptops that we could just pull out, get onto 4G if we haven't got internet, and run some very basic operation functions to literally help us take orders, make manifests so we can then sort of get trucks loaded, and then give drivers instructions over mobile phones. Every driver got a mobile device that was accessible through 4 or 5G. And it was very crude, but I have to say it was very, very effective.
And the fundamentals were that it allowed the business to, in that short time period, to continue operating as what?
Totally, yeah. And it actually bought us the time that we needed to give customer confidence that, okay, we've had a problem, but as long as we turned up to move the cargo the next day and as long as we could get invoices out the door, we felt that we were in a fairly sort of safe place at that point.
And alongside that, I guess there's some deeper technical work going on to look at what's actually happened. Yeah, it wasn't what you first thought it was going to be.
No, and we were fortunate, whereas we'd actually been taken out cyber insurance shortly before the breach, ironically. But that policy took us 9 months to procure. We went through quite a rigorous procurement process to look at what it did, what it's going to cost. And in the event that we needed it, what will it do for us? Well, it actually did everything we expected it to do.
It was your first call?
Yes. Once we realised that it was a cyber breach, and that wasn't clear from the outset, that only became clear after about 12 hours of disruption when the guys went to do a complete restart on the servers, and then this sort of spurious sort of file popped up, and it was a ransomware node from the Akira group. We realised after that probably in trouble. And they really, when your IT support that you trust that normally comes up with the fix, when it comes to the pale face thing, got a problem, I can't fix this, we've got a bit of bother. Yeah, and at that point, the documents for the insurance policy were still on my desk at the time. So they're quite easily accessible. And they've got a helpline number that just opened up lots of access to a level of things we needed.
Okay.
Including a top-end first response team that came in.
And was that first response team, are they boots on the ground?
Oh yeah, they were there very, very quickly. I mean, we were on a call within 20 minutes of us alerted. We've got a conference call going on between the loss adjuster and the team from Cybersecurity, and incredible. And it gave us a lot of comfort from outset. Right, okay, told us the truth where we were, what it's likely to turn into, given their experience at the Akira.
And fundamentally, so as we move that forwards, and you can see that ransom's in place, and I'm assuming nobody in that chain wants to negotiate with the ransom. They're kind of like, well, how we break away from it? Or is there a conversation that says, actually, it's worth having a look at trying to recoup this?
We'd never been in this space. Yeah, well, we were taking a lead from a very sort of well versed. Lots of just that dealt a number of issues. Obviously, the team that came in, it was their gig. That's what they did. So we've got a lot of comments, and they get able to give us a lot of guidance on about what steps, what was going to happen, what we should prepare for, and really how we going to. This is going to unravel over the next few days, and in the next 10 week or so. And one of the options was to negotiate, because the ransom note, which has been it's no secret, it's out there. It does give you an invitation. Just contact this. Just don't get into too much fuss. Here's a link. Contact us. Pay your money, and we'll all move on in life. That's what it said. Well, in all honesty, if we think it was that simple, then I think we probably would have, bought into it. But there were a number of factors that we needed to consider, and obviously we got people around us that could help a better decision. I think fundamentally, if you thought you were, first of all, have you got the money to pay the ransom? And if you thought it was going to give you back what you'd lost, and you're going to save 900 jobs, well, what were you?
Yeah,
There's a moral thing to that. Yeah.
What was the entry point? Do they know how it was breached?
Yeah, I mean, the forensic report came back. They seemed to, it would appear to have obtained some of these credentials for logging into the network as a user.
Yeah.
So password.
Erroneous, really, though.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's through social engineering or just through some of the tools that we've learned exist out there, where they're just constantly bombarding an access or a network until they find a vulnerability and they get in. It would appear that they've got in through literally a login or intent logging, and just wormed their way through to administrator buys. And they get through to passwords and credentials at server level.
Do they think that was over quite a long time frame?
Well, quite possibly. I mean, the information's given to us at target, so it indicates it could have been up to about 65 days before.
Okay.
Difficult to actually capture any evidence of stuff because there's so much data that was moving in and out of our system, legitimate. But the general sort of at the time was that a business of our size, if likely, that they'd be coming in and out for quite a period before they actually encrypted everything, and they got to the backup first.
Right, I was about to ask that question. Sorry. So they got into the backup first. Well, I was going to see around the continuity ban that disaster recovery.
Yeah.
Was there a backup? But all that was in place. Well,
yeah, but we've got a replication of what was going on in the site, the main site. We've got a replication on another site, completely separate. So, we said, and before we turned the world upside down and sort of went to the other site to operate, we tried to get everything up and running. The point would say, this is going to happen. Okay, let's go to and get the backup up and running, which is literally a replication of what was going on. So it should really be just sort of step in and back on, But unfortunately, when we suggested this, unfortunately, it got to the backup as well.
okay.
So they encrypted that. The characteristic of the Kira group apparently is that they're renowned for finding your backups to encrypt that before they come to your front end. You can do that one as well. Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. That's what we're there.
Yeah. And it's all a learning at that point. Really, it's all first time we see these kind of things. So the data's missing or inaccessible at this time. So, but fundamentally, the business was running in the background, to an extent.
Yeah, but
that was all good. The people were working.
Yeah.
The boots on the ground were looking at how they may be able to decrypt or save any of the data along the way. Over what time frame, or then what happened next, which made it irreparable? What caused them?
Well, it felt like its age, and yes, the business was running. A lot of people were concerned in the business about what's happened. Is this going to be? But we just had to keep them coached and motivated. Look, just keep doing what you did, and we're slowly working on getting things back to normal. We didn't really know how long it was going to take to get back to what would normally have been.
No, and interestingly, I guess 2023 was pretty. Everyone always thought, it wouldn't be me. It would be someone big, and there'd be something too much different. I think the world's kind of moved on a bit in terms of more SMBs get breached more often and things like that. So you were in a kind of a new frontier of this at that time. Were almost having to second guess yourself to give feedback to the business as well by going, it's going to be okay.
Yeah, well, we had to say it wouldn't be okay, but the people trusted us, and as a management lead team, we'd always found a way. Whatever challenge came at it, whether it was a fuel shortage or something going on somewhere, COVID, we coordinated and I think we led through it very well. But the team trusted us. We trusted the team too, and it was immense. And I think that there were moments thinking, you know what, where's this going to go? We didn't know really, but we had to be positive. And whilst there were elements of positivity coming out, probably little bits each day, which felt like it Ava said, that they would, we'll have that, we'll have that, we'll have that.
Was there a cost to the business in terms of, I appreciate there's an insurance in place and some that's been done, but is there still things that you have to go and either reinvest in that short term to make things keep operating, or is there?
Oh, we spent thousands on Courage Town to go and buy new laptops,
Right.
clean laptops that we could just basically, because we had to bring in, I remember there were about 25 odd 10 offices around the country that were affected here.
Right.
So we had to bring all the hardware back in to be cleaned before it would go back out again.
Sure.
So where you probably have 4 or 5 people in an office, you'd have one laptop. Everything else was going to be manual.
Right.
Initially. So we had to go and get as many laptops as we could. You get them uploaded with some very basic software functionality, so at least we could communicate. So that happened in a very, very short space of time. We'll get that out. So apart from some of the kit that we'd already got on-prem that we normally would expect, half a dozen clean laptops are plenty and business outside.
Yeah.
To keep a few people busy. So it was the increased cost of working at that point. I mean, I think the total cash cost of the business up to the point of, it was about 1.6 million in cash.
Really?
Yeah. Which obviously the insurance helped with some of that.
Yes.
But one of the lessons there is the fact that if you've got insurance, it will help you fund some of this. Unless otherwise you need very, very deep pockets additionally.
Yeah.
And post to be cool.
So the business is running, they're doing their forensics works in there. At what point do they then draw a line at some point and say that the data can't be retrieved?
Yeah, I think there isn't any decryption tool out there in the dark web that's going to unlock this. You're now at the point where you're going to think about pay a ransom and getting the decryption codes back from the attack route, or you're going to say, I'm not going to do that. Let's just go for a complete rebuild.
Just stop it. Yeah.
We've sort of lost. We haven't got what we haven't got now, but we've got this. And can we rebuild with this? And we did think about negotiating. We were introduced to an agent in the States who were seasoned in dealing with Akira. They gave us an insight about what they would expect. The monetary terms that would be suggested they'd be looking for completely prohibitive for us. We could be looking for between 2.7 and $5.3 million.
Right.
In cash and crypto. And that money wasn't available in the business. We just had a new warehouse in Luton, so our cash reserves were pretty well depleted. We're in discussion with our funder, and we're in the process for actually replenishing those funds as well.
Right.
But obviously without valid information, things got on hold. So, we chose not to go down the negotiation route. We went down to the route of rebuild.
Okay.
So it's a case of getting some of the bespoke software updated, so we based our clean platform to crack on with, which again, we got some very basic stuff that slowly evolved over the few days after the initial breach that made life a little bit easier, but not a fraction of what we needed to run the business.
Okay. And this is still in days, time periods. This is
1,000 days I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Felt like a lifetime, honestly, we did.
Yeah.
And every day you're going in thinking, right, have we got some developments? But I think we worked well as a team to actually sort of keep things moving as we did.
Yep. So between that kind of time period where that was all going on to the point where the business ultimately had to shut, what kind of time frame ran there?
So essentially, I think that the initial stabilization took about 2 weeks.
Okay.
So, and that's what the team said. We were told by the chief guys there, this is going to take 2 weeks before you can even start thinking about getting things back to normal. So prepare yourselves. Prepare yourself for fatigue across the business, because you need all your people working. You might have to split your shift working, so that you've always got somebody covering the key roles and functions. And we prepared for that. But within 10 days, we basically got the transport management system back, so we could get back onto that. So we went from a very lightweight offline transport management system, which was basically an order processing system, something that was really quite bad at the time. It bought us the time actually get to the point where we were rebuilding, reinstating main front-end systems. We never did recover the finance system,
Right.
which is essentially where it sort of went wrong in the end. So, as I said, within a couple of weeks we'd stabilised. Within a month we'd got everybody back on new clean equipment, or equipment that would be cleaner redeployed.
Yep.
We were heading mostly across the business to what normal looked like. But the finance reporting was just unable to be reinstated to a point, whereas you could provide credible reports to bankers and lenders.
Okay.
They relied on as part of a covenant, because we've got mortgages, we've got borrowing, we've got financing with them. They just want to see where you are, sort of end to end, the state of the business, and they needed that in order to, first of all, monitor our their security with us as a funder, but also to replenish that depletion of cash.
So, and you were running a full on-premise fire system at that time, I believe?
On-prem, Sage 1000.
With the replicating backup, but no other location of a set of accounts or anything like that?
No, other than previous MI packs that sent ground blame there, or that we, because they were all logged to the server there. Which weren't completely useful. We've got email that was protected through Mimecast, so we'd have a lot of history there. So when we started to look up what we'd actually got, thought we actually worked. So
we can pull it all back together through more serious stuff like that.
Yeah, but fundamentally, with the customers just wanted to know that we would turn up and do the job.
Yeah,
and we did. And has there really been any particular data breached? Any particular data been breached that affects their business? And the answer is really no, because it was mostly B2B stuff.
And were you connected into any of their networks at any points in time?
Not.
So there's no real data of that, which is nice in a way.
It was good, yeah. I mean, obviously we've got portals and we've got access for proof of deliveries.
Yes.
Like you see with the parcel carriers now, we've got that they were accessing, but there was nothing that has been compromised to that level. And really, after a few days or a few weeks, we felt, oh my, okay, stuff's getting delivered. We've got bills going out, so we've got cash coming in. We almost said, well, we've got home and drive at all. We're on this.
Yeah.
This is just our top case of time, keeping everybody motivated and well to just see us through to the end. But the bit that really, really got us in the end was the inability to provide financial information to the bank. And they just told us we got to shut business. We were out of time.
So a risk profile to then deemed it the first way didn't have enough reporting to go with.
They just hadn't got visibility. And it wasn't, I mean, they knew the business. They trusted, they'd actually given us quite a lot of time. Actually, they were, supporting us blind for quite a long time. And we just, the team and the resource we got to actually restore, we just came with the missing deadlines. Mm-hmm. And that, fundamentally, you look back and think, well, that is a serious consequence of fundamentally, when you're out of time with those things. And we'd even looked at, we haven't got funds ourselves to tip into the business. We weren't overpaying ourselves. We weren't taking money out of business. So we didn't have any putting ourselves particularly of any significance. But also, because of the inability to provide a management information pack, it's very difficult to raise any funds with other new investors, even in the distress market.
Yeah,
and we've got some pretty good financial support around us. At the time, just sort of seeing us through this period, because our bank wanted a bit more of assurance that so we've got financial restructuring people in, just giving that sort of cost of fortune, pardon me. Again, increased cost of work, 20 grand a week. And even they said, look, we just haven't got enough here to go to a distressed market. And they're pretty seasoned in that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And we sort of knew that point we're in a bit of a bad place.
So, I mean, thank you for that insight. And it's really interesting, I think, and really important to kind of highlight the fact that you've done a lot of things right in terms of what needed to be done along the way. And actually, ultimately, it wasn't the breach that caused the end effect, but it was the other things around the business which also needs to be reviewed as part of that kind of crisis management, disaster recovery piece, and always keep being reviewed as well. I think it's really important. It actually caused the downfall. Sure. Are there any things that you think, with hindsight, and hindsight's a great thing, that you look back on and go, if we'd have done these bits differently or made some different decisions, we'd have had a different outcome.
Well, just first of all, if I could just clarify, we ran the business, we restored the business operation to function, and it was there for 3 months. Never lost a customer, didn't really drop any turnover. Customers were very supportive of us. So most of the blue chip customers on the account had some sort of issue themselves, so they supported the files business. They supported us, kept some money coming in, cash flow stuff. But on reflection, 3 months down the road, I told to shut the business. Think, right, okay, we've done everything we can here. Really, really quite devastated. But looking back on the second part of the question, there was about what would we have done. I wish we, as a board, would have looked under the bonnet more about our framework, and had better understanding about what our framework was, what we were spending our money on. As I say, 120,000 a year on internet security or framework security or services. But actually, when we look closer at it, and we've got obviously the skilled people coming in, they were sort of giving us a second view on these things. But should probably enough. You've got gaps here that, although we were compliant, we met the criteria of the insurance. And, obviously we wouldn't have been granted the policy had we not been able to ask questions and let the surveys correctly. But when they came in, there were things such as things that sort of legacy servers that, we were patching, auto-patching, but you can't patch something that can't be patched because that old way it's not supported anymore. I think that was one of the vulnerabilities. Didn't understand that. We as a board, it's not our area of expertise.
It's still operating. You always think that's enough for doing some work around it. Yeah.
But the backups made up. It's all a good place. But it's not really. And I think the key point is two major factors here. I could probably say 3, but there's 2 major factors. So there's a business owner, a leader, and you don't need to be an IT specialist to be. You need to understand where you are. You need to understand your risks. You need to understand what you need to do to protect those risks. And that's number 1, to protect yourself as best as you possibly can from breach, and and to give you the capability to work with your chief tech officer or your MSP, a third party provider, understand what's going on. You will make better decisions with those people if you've got that understanding. So keep yourself informed of it. Second to that is that my true belief in this day and age, certainly with AI taking a hold now, and as long as as well as the historic risks, it's more of a case of when there's going to be a breach in business now. I don't care how big or small it is, it's going to happen, I think. So make sure that you have got a business continuity plan that really, really does work, and not just a 5-inch stick manual of how to run the business, which will take somebody months to work through.
Do you think that the accreditors like ISO and the insurers who are asking for certain things for compliance are not going far enough with what they're challenging as well? Or
I think there's a limit to how far they could actually go. Because I think if you've taken a decision to invest in an accreditation, it's a lot of people just want that. They want put it at the bottom, let it look good, feel good factor, ISO, Cyber Essentials, Cyber Essentials Plus. They're really, really good frameworks to have. They're really good, nice badges to have as well. But from my perspective, they're worthless unless you actually adopt the disciplines that they give you. So unless you buy into those properly and make them work for your business, that's up to you to do that. That's not down to your insurer or somebody else to sort of make it. If they come and do a penetration test, maybe the insurer probably should do a pen test. Them do that, but that will cost to do that. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure that's the insurer is asking you if you meet that criteria, do this, do that, and if you say yes, then they will insure you. They're not coming and doing necessarily a full audit, penetration.
Diagnosis, so they need to have for this.
And at the end of the day, if you take out a policy and you're not compliant with the conditions in it, then it's not going to work for you. But it's something I've heard that you should have.
Yes.
And take it seriously, but make sure it's going to work for you.
And for you now, you've moved on, you've started some new ventures. You obviously have become a bit of a name in the sector in terms of talking about it as well, because it's good to hear from somebody who's lived it through and put that awareness out there without overstressing it. This really happens, and so you can identify as you as beast.
Real life, 900 people lost their jobs. We lost a business that was 158 years old. So it doesn't matter how old it is, or how well known it is, or how precious that brand is. If it can't survive this, it's not going to survive. We're not charity. There's not a charity out there that's going to bail you out and help you by the time. It's down to you.
No.
So the more you understand your risk, your systems, and the protections that you can offer, and test its ability to continue, its business continuity, is really a minimum these days that should be out in boardroom. Health and safety is given their recovery people. We all know about that. But your framework infrastructure protection is fundamentally, it's probably this day is that bit that's going to shut you down for it.
Paul, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a really interesting insight into this.
Very welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.